Hey there, I'm Christina Marie Anderson, the owner of Wandersoul Co., a web development studio packed with personality. And I am also your Elementor. I am going to be adding mentorship services in regards to building Elementor websites. I know that I've mentioned this previously that I was going to start doing more tutorials that are focused on Elementor and building efficient websites, high-performing websites that are personality packed with WordPress and Elementor Pro. And I'm here today kind of to start at the beginning because I'm actually creating a new website, strategically creating a new website that will that traffic will be directed to from my existing website, but that's also going to be SEO optimized so that hopefully I can rank and get these tutorials out to more people because I know Elementor gets a bad reputation, but I'm here to bust through all of that. Elementor can be used as a great tool for building websites and for building high performing websites that have really great design features. But you just have to know how to do it. And what I see most often is that people really just don't know how to get the most out of Elementor. And that causes issues down the line in terms of performance or things breaking when updates occur. And I want to help you avoid all of that and create efficient, high-performing websites that are not such a hassle like many Elementor websites out there tend to be. So I am starting at the beginning because I am starting at the beginning of this new website, and I thought this was a perfect time to start to gather some more content for you guys, walk through my process of how I create some of these things directly on the new Elementor website, your Elementor. So without too much more rambling, let's just dive right in. I'm going to show you guys today how to build a header for your website, a simple header, much like it can be found across many websites out there on the web, going for something streamlined that just makes sense, and how to make it mobile responsive as well. So making sure that it is looking good across devices. All right, let's dive in. So as I mentioned, I am pretty much starting here at the beginning of getting this ready for to build a website, right? And the header is going to be one of the first things that I'm building. But I did set up just a couple things already on the back end of the site, laid some foundational groundwork for the rest of this build. So just wanted to kind of note those things that I've already done so that we can make sure we're starting in the same place. First up, I use the Astra template. So the Astra theme. So the Astra theme has been installed on here. I have added Elementor and Elementor Pro and activated it. And then within that, I did go ahead and set up one page so that I could access the global settings in Elementor. And I have a pretty specific way that I set up my global settings, and my colors and my fonts and my typography. But for now, I just went ahead and got so far as to have enough styling in there so that my styling will be applied to this header. And then I also set up the site logo and the favicon. And that is where I am at right now. And then I want to show you just two things that I want to do to make this header building process a little bit easier. If you are going to be using the Elementor global style settings, which I highly recommend you do, you're going to want to change one setting over here under just the Elementor settings. You're going to want to check both of these boxes. And basically this just stops anything from the Astra theme, which we're not going into the Astra theme. We're really not changing anything about the appearance in there. So it makes sure that none of those settings override what you do in the Elementor global styles. And then again, because we're making a header, I want to make sure we have something to actually put in the header. So I'm going to come over here to appearance and menus, and I'm going to create my first menu, which is just going to be called main nav. And I'm going to fill it with a bunch of blank custom links. So we don't have any pages on the website yet, so I can't actually add pages except for the home page. And I will go ahead and add this, rename it home. And I can just go ahead and save the menu so that that is created. And now I will add those custom links. So to do that, I'm just going to add a pound sign, and I'm going to do like the typical pages that we see on a website, right? And this doesn't matter. You can delete all of these later, but this just gives us something to see the styling on. And actually, I'm going to delete content. I'm going to add that in a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and save that menu. And now I am ready to create my my header. So there's sort of two ways that you can do this, but the easiest way to get started, because we don't currently have anything on the website, is to go to Templates and Theme Builder. And from here, we want to go ahead and add a header. Now, as a reminder, this is going to be, the theme builder is going to be part of Elementor Pro only. If you want to build a header but don't have the Pro version of Elementor, you can download a new plugin or add an additional plugin to your website that's called Elementor Header and Footer Builder, which will essentially give you enough functionality to have headers and footers. But otherwise, we'll build that here in the theme builder. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of the templates. I don't want to use a template. I want to show you guys how to build this from scratch. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to settings, and I am going to rename this main header, or give it some clear name as to what this header will be on your website, whether it's going to be on every page, whether it's only going to be on your blog posts, what have you. Just give it a clear name so that you know where this header is going to show up on the website. And I'm going to go ahead and click publish, and I'm going to click add condition, and I want this to show up on the entire website. So that's all I need to do, and I'll click save and close. So now I am ready to get started building this header. So I'm just going to click these 6 dots to get myself back to all of the widgets that I can add. And then I'm going to click this plus button to add a new container. And I would like one container that is direction row, meaning it is going to place elements horizontal. Inside of this container, I'm going to add a couple things. But first up, I want to get rid of, I want to go to advanced, and I want to get rid of any padding that's showing up natively. Elementor does about 20 pixels of padding on every container. One of the first things that I like to do is get rid of that so that I have more complete control over the styling. From here, I want to add a site logo, which is already uploaded, so that's going to populate. And this is a little big, so I'm going to make this, let's say 200 pixels. That's much better. Let's go 220. I'll make it just a little bit bigger. And now I can see I need some padding around that, right? So I keep doing that. Let's go back to that advanced section, and let's just add 12 pixels all the way around. We'll get started there, and we'll see how that works for us. I'm just going to click update. It will add, or it will save those changes. And I want to go ahead and add a color to this header, this navigation header. So I'm going to click on the container and then go to style, choose background type, and I would like to choose my light background color. Now, those again are, I told you I have these set up very nicely so that I can always have access to my brand and style within the Elementor global settings. So that's just sort of a sneak peek at part of what I do for setting up the global settings. All right. So I know that I have a horizontal row here, and I need to add 2 more things. So I'm going to add a navigation menu, and I'm also going to add a button, and that button is going to be the main call to action on the website. So in order to do that and appropriately space them across the page, I'm going to add a container within the container. So I'll place it here to the right of the logo. And that did make my logo a little bit small. I'm going to make this full width and change it to 80%. And that'll give my logo plenty of space to breathe over here, but will also be enough space for the menu and the main call to action in this additional container. So similarly, we want to go ahead and get rid of that extra padding. We don't need it. And then from there, I need to add a WordPress menu. And then I want to make sure that this is also direction row. And I want everything to be at the end. And I'm going to add some styling to this. So as I mentioned, I set up my global typography so that I have the header text available there. I'm going to align this center just so it kind of fills out that space correctly. And I'm also going to change the color. All right, I'll click update on that, and you can see I have some styling there now. I'm also going to get rid of the underline. I'm not a big fan of that. And there you have it. So now the WordPress navigation has been added. And the next thing that we need to do is add that main call to action. In order to add a main call to action, we're going to add a button. And that's why we wanted to add this secondary container, is that we wanted to be able to add two new elements side by side and keep them correctly spaced. Whereas if we had added the two new elements in and just tried to space them without this additional container, we would have trouble getting both the navigation and the button to be on this far side. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that button. And it's gonna wanna go to the front, but we can just then drag this ahead of that so it's in the correct order. And I am going to go ahead and make this call to action book call. And I'm going to align this button to center so that, again, it fills up this space correctly. And I'm also going to change the styling here. So I did not get so far as to do the styling within my global settings, but actually let me just go ahead. I'm going to update this and let's go ahead and show you. So I actually will set this up in my global settings so that every button that I pull onto the website looks the same. So I'm going to go to site settings and I'm going to go to buttons. And again, I've already set up some colors and fonts, but I'm just going to be applying those here. So I'm going to choose the global typography for buttons, and you can see that populate. Then I'm going to choose the text color, which I'm going to do as this light BG color. Actually, I'm going to do it as white. From there, I want to choose the background color, which is going to be this one labeled buttons. Very simple, right? Then I'm going to go to the hover options. For this button, I would, for the main buttons on my website, I would like them to have an outline when you hover over it. So I'm going to basically invert this. All right, you can see that here. And now one thing that I don't love is if you have a border on the hover state, but not the regular state, the button appears to grow because that border basically adds 2 pixels all the way around. So I'm actually gonna go back here and add a solid 2 pixel border that's the same. And that way it doesn't appear to grow. All right, and then the last thing, so this is a gripe that I have with Elementor, and I've never found a fix for it, is that if you apply a global border radius and global button padding to this button, it will not stick. So I'm just going to leave these as is, and on an individual button, I can go ahead and change the padding and the border radius. And if I want to, I can just like copy that button throughout the site so that I don't have to over and over again make those same setting changes. So that is how I globally style my buttons. So I'm gonna go ahead and X out of this. And again, I do want to change up this padding. I'm not loving how much of it there is. I'm just gonna do 12 pixels all around. That feels like a lot still. All right, that's looking much better to me for the header. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sort of like click out of this, just like, all right, so let's go ahead and preview that. All right, this is looking good to me. This is like very much what I am looking for, just like clean and simple and something that makes sense. You know, this is going to link back to home. I have that home button in my navigation, and people have access to the different menu items that they would need. I also like the spacing. I feel like the spacing of this is working for me right now. So now that I have that, I feel confident in this. I want to go back and I want to make it mobile responsive. So let's go and start to look at what it's going to look like on a tablet and what it's going to look like on a cell phone. So on the tablet, we can see that the menu is turning into a toggle. because because we have told it that the breakpoint is a tablet portrait. If I tell it that there is no breakpoint, it's actually going to continue to list out all of them across the way. And I actually like this. I think this works on tablet. If the menu items start to get like a little bit longer, it can make it so that this doesn't all fit and it wouldn't make sense. But I'm liking the way that this is all sitting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update on that. And then let's go to mobile. So on mobile, this obviously does not work in the same way, right? This menu is way too long and we have way too much going on, really taking up valuable real estate on the home page or on the website. And we want to significantly reduce this. So before I complete the mobile responsiveness here, I actually want to go make another menu that is specifically for mobile. So I'm going to exit out of here. And I'm going to go to appearance and menus. And now I'm going to create a new menu and I'm going to call it mobile menu. Now, similarly, I'm going to go ahead and add the page we already have. This is the home page. Then I'm going to add those custom links again, and this is just for the sake of appearances. But I'm going to show you why specifically we're creating a second menu for mobile. Oops. Okay, so this is the reason that we need to create a second menu for mobile. So in the page that we just built, or in the header that we just built, the main call to action was a separate button, and that's not going to work on the mobile menu. So, or on the mobile header. So we want to add that call to action as the final call to action here so that it's still visible on mobile. So I'm going to add a custom link and we'll add that book a call button or menu item. All right, so I'm going to save that menu. And now I'm going to go back to templates, theme builder, main header, edit. And I'm going to go back to the responsive mode and choose the mobile device. Now I want to hide the menu that exists on the laptop or desktop or tablet view. So I'm going to go to advanced and responsive. I'm going to click hide on mobile and I'm going to click update. And then I want to add a new WordPress menu and it can go on either side. It does not matter. And I'm also going to hide this button. Forgot to mention that. We want to hide both of these. And it may be easiest to think about it if we can get the menu either before or after these two so that you know, like, this is the one that you're working on. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to hide it on desktop and tablet. And we only want this to show up on mobile. Then I'm going to work with the styling. I want to align it to the right and get rid of the padding. That's, toggle align, right? There we go. Now, in order to make this work correctly, I need to reduce some of this spacing so that this menu item will align up here next to the logo. So I know that I set this at 220 pixels. We have another 140 pixels to work with. But we want to just make sure that it's going to fit on damn near any screen size. So I want to click on this menu item. Actually, I'm sorry. I want to click on this container and I want to make it 100 pixels wide. Now it's saying I still don't have enough room. So let's go ahead and reduce this to a size that we know is fitting there. And now I want to click on the main container, the overarching container for all of them. And I want to make sure that there is space between the items. And that way these, like, this will be right, or this will be left aligned and this will be right aligned. For this, I also want to align it or align self center. That didn't actually change anything. I don't know why extra space shows up at the bottom of the menu sometimes. So let's just go ahead and add a little bit of negative margin to get rid of that extra space. I think it's just 10 pixels. And from here, let's click update. And in order to see what this looks like live, because it can be kind of difficult to do or to really understand what it looks like when you have these grayed out items, is we can close the editor, and that's going to give us a live view at what this is looking like. So I need this to come down some. I really need it to be centered in this space. So let's take a look at how we can make that happen. We'll look at this container and see if we can change anything. There we go. So now it is centered. And now, so we can go ahead and take a look at the style of this now. So I'm going to click back into that and go to style. And I need to style the toggle button specifically. So I want the background color to be the same as my buttons, and I need this to be the light background color. I'm also going to make it a little bit larger. I think that looks good. And I'm not worried about the border width or the border radius. And on hover, we're going to invert it. Actually, on hover, we're just going to change the background color to the dark background color. Ooh, nope, we're going to go accent color. There we go. That's perfect. All right, so now again, let's look at it live. All right, perfect. I'm liking where this is going. This is a little bit finicky, but there's some space that I left when I added this logo. And so there's actually like a fair amount of pixels here, and I'm going to use some negative margin to move that over to the left. That way it just is aligned correctly. That was bothering me a little bit. Okay, so now we can see how this looks. I'm actually gonna make this logo a little bit smaller too. I'd like it to align a little bit better. So let's see what we can do here. Let's make it 190 and see what happens. There we go. I'm liking that much better. All right. And then the last important thing that we need to do here is we want to style the drop down. We also want to make sure that the drop down is going to be full width. That's going to allow it to literally go all the way across. So now it looks like making it full width messed with my spacing a little bit, but we'll deal with that in a minute. All right, so let's work on the styling for the drop down. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this so that we can see the drop down. And from there, I am going to click into the drop down. All right, so I would like the background color to be the light background. I would like the text color to be the text color. And I want the typography to be the header text. All right, looking good here. Now on hover, we're gonna do pink as the background. Yep, I'm liking that. And on active, we're just gonna leave it as is. So we'll put it back to the text and the light PG. So like, I don't need them to have an active state. I just want them to have a hover state. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click this. For distance, I'm gonna increase this distance a bit. I want it to be just like a little bit down from there. Let's do 20 pixels. All right, and let's go ahead and close the editor and just see what that looks like. All right, I'm not loving that there's a little space there. So let's see if we can get rid of the space. There we go. All right, that looks great to me. So now the other thing that I want to do is this is now center aligned in here. And it's unclear to me why. So I'm just going to go ahead and use negative margins on the right. We got a little bit further to go. All right, so now we are right on the line there. So we know that these things are both butting up against like the furthest possible place that they could within their respective containers. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm going to go ahead and click update. And now let's preview what that looks like. So here's what we look like in desktop. Let's come down to all the way to tablet. It will remain looking the same. And then from there, it does go down to the mobile version. And that's what it is looking like when it is opening up. I think that's looking great. Totally on brand. So that is how you go about creating a header in Elementor Pro that has all of the main things that you need. You've got your logo, your main navigation, and your main call to action, and you have it looking good across devices. And you've built it with like the fewest containers possible, short of eliminating this secondary call to action, so that you just needed to have two widgets side by side, which is totally an option. You can forego this main call to action here and just have it be part of your menu, and it can also, play into how you design the next section. So that is how I start the headers on all of my sites. And I hope that this was helpful in letting you see the way that you can build the header and also how to make it responsive across devices. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and give this one a thumbs up if it was helpful. Make sure you subscribe if you are interested in more content like this, because I'm going to be pumping out more videos, especially as I build this new Elementor site. I want to become your mentor when it comes to all things Elementor. Thank you so much, and have a great day.